Hey everyone, welcome to Word on the Street Is. I'm your host, Aaliyah Huntley. Today we have an amazing show for you. We have licensed professional counselor Nisha M. Tyler here to talk with us about mental health awareness and steps to take care of yourself. We have news reporter Eddie Dowd joining us online to talk about politics, the state of journalism, and more. Later on, we will have podcaster and gossip queen Tay Honeybee joining us online to discuss all the latest tea in celebrity news. Well, let's get into the word on the street. Last week, CEO of Astronomer Andy Byron was caught booed up with the company's CPO, Kristen Cabot. The two were caught cuddled up on the kissing cam at a Coldplay concert. When realizing they were on the cam, they both tried to hide, which resulted in Coldplay's lead singer, Chris Martin, making a joke about them either being shy or having an affair. Turns out both Byron and Cabot are married to other people. Well, that is certainly one way to ask your spouse for a divorce. Since being outed publicly and trolled all over social media, Byron has decided to resign from his CEO position at Astronomer. I'm sure his colleagues were disappointed because that was going to be one hell of a team meeting this week at work. I mean, it's obvious. The first question will be, what was your favorite song that Coldplay performed? President Trump is facing backlash after his administration said they will not be releasing any more of the Epstein files. Trump said he doesn't understand what the interest and fascination is regarding the files. I'm still fascinated y'all let him back into office for a second term. I mean, did you miss the presidential debate? If anything needs to be released, it's Trump from his presidential duties. We'll go more into detail about the Epstein files and much more later when we speak with Eddie Dowd. It seems like Diddy had enough baby oil to slide himself through a victory in his RICO trial. Sean Diddy Combs, known for being a music business mogul, was charged with racketeering, conspiracy, and a federal indictment unsealed in 2024. The charge alleged that Diddy used his business empire to coerce women into sex and to conceal his illicit behavior. The trial began on May 5th of this year. On July 2nd, after 2 days of deliberation, the jurors acquitted Diddy on the major charges and he was found guilty of lesser charges. There's been mixed reviews in the media, with some people being happy for him while others feel he should have been convicted on more charges. Even though the verdict is out, the question remains, did he or didn't he do it? We'll talk more about this later in the show with Tay Evans. Up next, we will be diving in on the latest in politics with Eddie Dowd. Will these Epstein files ever be released? And should we be concerned with how journalism is being portrayed in the media? Find out more when we return. Now we have news reporter Eddie Dowd joining us today. Eddie, how are you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
All right, so let's get straight into it. Today I want to talk about Trump, which you've known me for over 15 years. I try to avoid foolishness when I can, but he's all over the news. So, since he's been reelected for a second term, there has been a few concerns that have been in the media. One of them being tariffs. Now, I know you are a reporter, so you have to be as unbiased as you can, but can you tell us a little bit more about what's going on as far as the tariffs and what people feel about it?
Basically, uh, Trump is trying to make deals for that so that when we do business with other countries, if we send goods to China, they can tax it, right? But then when they send goods to us, do we tax it? So he's trying to get these deals that are very different from what we currently had. And it's not as easy as it originally sounded. So the thing is with tariffs is that sometimes they can raise prices here at home as a retaliation. And so the longer time that goes on without these deals being reached, the more nervous Wall Street, the stock market gets, and people at home, are afraid that prices could go up. Right now, we haven't seen like that much price increase because people are like kind of like wait and see, these companies that can raise the prices for things, cars and stuff like that. Like they're like maybe we can wait a minute, before see if we can get this resolved. But so those deadlines are coming
Mm.
for when, and so what happens if a deal is not reached is that those high tariffs that President Trump has promised will get slapped on those other countries.
Right.
And when that happens, the thinking is that there could be um, large changes in what we pay for things here. So that's why it's in the news right now is because that deadline that President Trump had set is nearing, and right now I don't have the exact number, but less than a dozen deals maybe have been made so far, and there's 100 and something countries. So you can see how people are like, well, we still got so many deals we got to work out and the deadline's approaching. So that's why tariffs is in the news. And basically, bottom line is, will it affect costs?
Yes. Now I want to switch gears a little bit. Iran and Israel, Iran and Israel been going back and forth for a while. They've had beef for quite some time. Recently, Iran kind of warned the US to mind their business, so to speak, or, it was a clear threat. Under that, Trump's administration sent U.S. force airstrikes towards some of the Iran nuclear sites. Do people think this was the right call? Like, what are their hopes or fears now that that has happened?
Well, I definitely think it took a lot of people off guard, especially
I know it took me off guard.
I can't speak for everyone in the media, but I know even as a news reporter, um we monitor things, we keep tabs on things. And I remember hearing about, okay, the White House says it'll be 2 weeks before they make a decision on whether to strike Iran.
Right.
And then like 2 days later, they strike Iran. So I think, and that could have been part of it, the strategy of surprise. Um, so I think a lot of people were caught off guard, especially in the media, by the initial strike. I don't know what information they had, but some information they say showed them we need to act now.
Has Iran been quiet since being struck by?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it's interesting because as a news reporter, you want to kind of, you get questions like, oh, what's our because a lot of the debate was oh, does was it destroyed or not, their nuclear program by the strikes? And you would think that the easiest way to answer that was, okay, well, what are they saying? Like, are they saying it's still operational, or like, oh, you got us, or like, oh, you didn't get us, look, ha 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 ha, and like showing
Right.
the video. No, but they didn't do that really. The White House says it was totally destroyed,
Mhm.
but again, I don't know if anyone knows exactly if they have any secret, materials, compounds. So anyway, that's where we're at. I think it's a wait and see kind of approach.
Okay. Now, before you go, I cannot let you leave without talking about these Epstein files. Jeffrey Epstein, everyone knows him as he was a wealthy man. He was also convicted of being a child sex offender. His social circle was filled with a lot of celebrities and politicians, including President Trump. Now, President Trump is saying he does not, there's no need for the files to be released. He doesn't understand why people are so fascinated with it. And now it's drawn a lot of attention because even MAGA fans are just saying like, what's the problem? Release the files. Why don't you want to release the files? What do you think about just the files in general? And if they are released in its entirety, like, will it do more harm than good? Do we think some people, um, and especially in the political world, will they be in trouble? Like, what are
Mhm.
people saying?
Well, first, it's interesting because if you would have said that, if you would have told me that, the Epstein files would be one of the most controversial things so far in the Trump administration, I would have, before he got elected or, when he was inaugurated, I would have said, what? Like I
Right.
did not expect us to be talking about it so much.
Me.
I think where this all comes from though it does make sense why it's being talked about now, but it is unexpected that how it unfolded. And the reason is for those who are kind of tuned out during the campaign,
Mm.
who didn't want to see some stuff. Um, well, some of us couldn't afford to do that, right? And we had to monitor, even in Hawaii, monitor what's going on because it does affect Hawaii. Was that President Trump was going on these some call it like bro podcasts.
Yeah.
Where it's like a bunch of dudes like sitting and like they have a big following, millions of followers, but like it's just bros talking. And so President Trump was going on all the most popular podcasts, which when he was running for re-election, and that's not something we saw from a lot of presidents, at least at that level. And so one of the things about these podcasts is they ask questions that maybe um don't get asked in the more, because if in the traditional media, if you bring up Epstein, sometimes like, oh, come on, like really, like so they were asking these questions, and President Trump was kind of saying he wasn't giving like an answer of like, yes, we'll release them, but he said, well, that might be something I have to look into.
He's been publicly like posted with photos of him and Jeffrey Epstein. Like, has he ever said anything about their relationship as friends?
Yeah, he said they were once friends
Mhm.
long time ago, and that because of his way he does stuff, he stopped being friends.
Mhm.
That's what he
Now,
said.
do you do
So
you feel like
he admitted they were friends, and then he didn't like what he saw, and he stopped being friends. But the conundrum that the president has himself in, or he's trying to address it, by releasing some things, is that because of these podcasts and these things he went on where he didn't promise to release the files, which if they are files or what, because his attorney general said there are no files, like there's no list, Epstein list,
hmm
um, is that
made
when he was
himself
running
seem
for
like an
this
open book?
re-election, he kind of fueled the fire
He made himself seem like an open book who is honest
by
about
saying, oh,
everything.
that might be something we have to look into, instead of saying, if he would have said, I think that door's closed. I think
Right.
that's,
Do you think that there is an actual like are there Epstein files and will they be released?
um, I don't know if there are is like an actual like Epstein list. Everyone's talking about a list.
Yeah, like
Like,
of
there's a
people,
list of
people who,
people who've been to Epstein Island. When they say there's files, I do believe there's files. I mean, there is evidence and documents.
Mhm.
I think it's what exactly is it? I can't tell you.
Right.
Um, but do I think there's information
hmm
that hasn't been public yet? Of course.
Yeah.
So, and the last thing to answer your thing is, my gut tells me that it's not just, you know, if the former president's in it, it's not just him, as you
Oh no,
alluded
there's
to,
gonna be many people.
on both sides of the aisle. And
I'm sure that
so
there's a
Democrat,
lot of people.
Republicans.
Mhm.
And so, as a reporter, it's hard to kind of wrap your head around it fully because, apparently these files were written before the Trump administration.
Mhm.
And so, if they were available, I guess they could have been released before President Trump. So it's very, I'll be honest, it's a hard story to fully wrap your head around as a reporter. And
Right.
that's why when you do reporting on Epstein, you have to be very, very
Cautious.
careful.
Yeah. I mean, everything it will come to light when it's time.
Yeah.
So, yes. And one more question before you go. Now, you've been in the journalism field, you've been a news reporter for about 10 years. What do you feel about the state of journalism? Do you feel like we're able to report stories without being filtered? Like in especially in this society, you have to be very careful about things that you say nowadays. You can't really post things explicitly the way you used to before. Do you think that is good, or are we being filtered? What is like? what's going on with that.
Well, I think it's definitely a different time from, 1960s, where people only had three options on TV, CBS, NBC, ABC, and it's not like you could get your news on social media or stuff.
Right.
So I think now people have a lot of options to get their news, and if they don't like you, they can get it from someone else. So
Right.
I think in order for news to survive, one, we have to make well, one thing I want to say is one thing we've noticed in our research for TV news is that public trust in news nationally has gone way down. And I think that's because we see a lot of talk shows and over the last 10, 20 years where people give their opinions. And sometimes people are sick of that. Now, if you want to get your opinions, you can go to podcast, whatever. But local news trust in local news has remained pretty high. And I think it's because if you look at local news, they're just reporting what's going on in their community. And, there's not much commentary.
Right.
And so I think moving forward, to answer your question about filter or not, is people want authenticity, they want realness, they want trust, but they also don't want to feel that you're leaning any one way.
Right.
Or if you are, to just be honest
Right.
about it.
Well, thank you, Eddie Dowd. For more of Eddie and his news reporting, please follow him on Instagram. When we come back, we will be meeting with licensed professional counselor Nisha M. Tyler on mental health awareness and ways to take care of yourself. I would like to welcome Nisha M. Tyler to the show. How are you doing today?
Good morning. I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Now, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do for work?
Yeah, I am a licensed practicing counselor or LPC here in Connecticut, meaning that I am licensed to practice individual or group therapy. In my spare time, I am active with three boys, and me and my husband enjoy spending quality time with them, hanging out, traveling, just trying new things as a family.
I love that. Now, in your own words, can you tell us what mental health is?
To me, mental health is really recognizing that inner need, right? I think a lot of people think that, we've made it this far, we come this far, I'm okay. And being able to really hone in on the wellness, the mindfulness, just really focusing on yourself and making that investment in yourself.
Right. Now, mental health awareness became more publicized during the pandemic. Why do you think that is?
I think a few factors, right? I think we had time to kind of sit with ourselves and sit in those feelings or emotions for a really long time.
Right.
And I think because of that, it really opens up maybe a gateway for individuals to really say, hey, it's time for me to take control over this, and to know that it was okay not to be okay. I think there were so many things going on with the pandemic where, whether it was grief, whether it was loss, just things that we couldn't handle on our own. And that really took flight when, people decided to really get a hold of their mental health.
Right. No, it definitely, mental health became, you saw it a lot more with people being stuck inside their house. So I definitely agree with that.
Absolutely.
Now, what are some forms of mental health issues and maybe some signs to look out for them?
Yeah, I think the most popular forms, and we always hear that they're overused or things like that, but depression, anxiety, bipolar, even postpartum depression, a lot of those are really prominent right now. And I think those signs and symptoms, while some of them can look the same, that doesn't necessarily mean that you have one or the other, all things. For instance, depression and anxiety can look very similar,
Right.
but then depression carries that overwhelming urge and persistence of sadness, right? So it's very important for an individual to know what that looks like for them. And if they even feel that something is different or can be off, go ahead and get the support that you need just to make yourself and allow yourself, the opportunity to feel better.
Right. So you talked about getting the support you need. What would be some forms or ways of treatment for people with mental health?
So the most popular, right, is talk therapy, where, I would sit with a client maybe one on one or in group session and really allow them the space to really talk about their feelings and emotions. And that comes with different approaches that therapists can use depending on the client or the group. And then there's also medication, right? Which with medication, that is something where you have a psychiatrist or a physician who is there supporting that management
Right.
of the medication. And then there's other things that the individual can do on their own, right? Changing their lifestyle, changing their diet, if it's things like that are kind of intervening on that. Educating yourself, I think, is very, very important as well. Just really being able to recognize what you need and what that can look like. And all of these can support you on a healing journey for sure.
I love that. Now, what are some resources that people can go to if they don't know the first steps to take?
Here in Connecticut, they have Demas, they have 211, which are very good supports. Demas, their website is a great resource, and it's very easy to navigate. 211 is obviously a crisis line that will be able to support you. And also, one that I refer a lot of people to is Psychology Today.
Yes.
It's a great tool. You're able to kind of navigate and filter out the kind of therapist that you're looking for. So those are very helpful ones. And then, hey, we're on a podcast right now. So there's
Right.
podcasts, there's, Facebook. A lot of those can be very, very helpful if used in the right way to start and support that journey.
Well, I definitely love that. I found my therapist off of Psychology Today.
Awesome.
She's the one who actually referred us to connect. So shout out to her.
Nice.
Is there anything else you would like to add?
Yeah, I think if anything that I would add, it's just really being able to invest in yourself, right? As a therapist myself, I have a therapist, right? So it's not that there's anything wrong. It's that we want to make sure that what needs to go right is going right and
Right.
getting that support. We don't have to follow that stigma or stereotype that we can't do that, because it is possible.
Well, thank you so much for stopping by.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Nisha is taking on new clients. For more info, you can find her on psychologytoday.com. You can also reach her at 203-427-6887. Her specialties include working with people with anxiety, depression, and postpartum. When we return, we will be speaking with Tay Evans on the latest tea and celebrity news and take a deeper look into the aftermath of the Diddy trials. Now we have podcaster, gossip queen, and my auntie, Tay Honeybee. How are you doing today?
Siri, I'm good, girl.
I have not spoken to you since this morning.
Yes, we have. You already know how it goes.
Now we have a few things to cover in celebrity news. Let's start off with the legendary wrestler Hulk Hogan recently passed away. Very unfortunate, we grew up watching him on WWE and everyone loved him, right?
Yeah.
Now, since he has passed, people in the black community are not really too fond of Hulk. Apparently, like in the early 2000s, he made a racial comment towards his daughter's love life, and it rubbed people the wrong way for obvious reasons. But yeah, like now that he's passed away, like all that information has resurfaced, and they're not really talking about the fact that he died. It's like, well, he died, but he was a racist. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, when it comes to people dying, it don't matter who's in the industry. Because, you're going to have them that talk about the achievement, and then you're going to have them talk about the flaws.
Right.
About now, when it comes to Hulk Hogan, the first thing was, oh, he's racist, And it's so crazy because, people have to watch what they say. And that's really one, because any little thing that you say, especially when it's being recorded or you somewhere, it's like boom, like there you go. That's the first thing, and that's just like Michael Jackson when he passed away. The first thing they talk about him was hanging the baby over the balcony, and it's like no matter what it is, it's always the negative first.
Right.
So you got to be very careful, especially when you're famous in the industry. You have to like be, cameras is following you everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
They listening, and people are so quick to just always be about a negativity thing. I don't really think personally he was really racist. Maybe his was a little bit of off,
Right,
but
right.
we all have those moments. You know what I'm saying? We all say something that even with certain things we're not supposed to say, we end up saying, and then it's like they looking at you like, oh, you're racist, and I'm like, no. Like there's
Yeah.
times I'm not even like I'm racist with my own content, like.
Right. I feel like it's definitely a tricky subject, right? I was just talking to people behind the scenes about this. I was like, it's tricky because like you said, like he's someone who is in public light. He was
Yeah.
known for being famous. So any comment that he says, once we get a hold of it, it's over. It's a wrap. Like, and I feel like it's unfortunate because like you said, I don't know if he was racist or he wasn't, but like for one comment he said almost 20 years ago to be the rest of his legacy when he held such a like legacy in his career. It is unfortunate. Like, like I do hope that he rests in peace. But yeah, people in the community is mixed reviews. Like some people are sad to see him go. Some people are like, well, listen, he said this 20 years ago.
Some people making points too, like, some people post up him like, let's be real, like, he still supported black communities, or he wore with Jordans. He even have like his line upset with him with all his Jordans. So, people just take little things and they just run with it.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like, I would have to do like, I wasn't there for that situation, but I'm like, if he was someone who was publicly like just being racist for like many years after that, then that would be one thing. But for like
Yeah.
one to take one comment, especially because we watch celebrities like a hawk, like they aren't regular, they are regular people, but not in the media. So, we can say something and maybe not, it won't resurface because we're not famous or relevant at the moment to all the other people, but for celebrities it is tricky because they have to watch everything they say. But I do hope that Hulk rests in peace, and I hope his legacy does live on, and not just for the comment that he said almost 20 years ago. But yes, now let's get into Basketball Wives.
Oh.
It's a reality TV show that started in 2010. Can you tell us a little bit more about it?
Well, it's a couple of ladies, that are, well, that was or still married to basketball players.
Mhm.
Some of them now is really not married to basketball players, but they used to. So and that's how it started because they was married or dating somebody that was in the NBA.
hmm
Yeah.
And there has been a video that surfaced recently this week between one of the, I believe Jackie is one of the original Basketball Wives,
Yes.
and her daughter. Can you tell us like what was going on in that video and your thoughts?
Um, well, here, I'm not gonna lie, I've been watching it since from the beginning. So, Jackie have got on to Basketball Wives a long time ago, and she's still here. Jackie have a personality is like she really don't give a damn. You know what I'm saying? She is like if it's Jackie wants to say what she gotta say, and that's it. Anybody else got something to say? She don't care about what you're saying. She gonna just keep it moving. When it comes to her and her daughter now, she had her daughter on the show a couple of times before her daughter became on it, like,
Like a
as a
mm-hmm.
new person. But they always had like a back and forth. Everybody. It's always a back and forth. And then the video shows that her mother, Jackie, punched her in the face. And I agree to it because since she came on this show, Chantel, all she have done was blast her mother, talk bad about her mother. Not only that, you're talking bad about your mother to other people.
Right.
These people don't even know your history. They just met you, and here you go talking about your mom to these people, and
Right.
they're your peoples now. They just agree to it. They don't know the history, so they just go along with this. So when it finally air, what really happened, and now people really seeing what happened. Now
Right.
everybody, Jackie didn't just attack her. This is your mother. I don't care. Let me tell you, I don't care what anybody mother do. Sometimes, yes, mothers is right. Sometimes mothers is wrong. You know, sometimes mothers gonna get on your damn nerves.
I
It's
have to
time,
respect
you know,
them.
but respect is respect. This
Mhm.
is somebody that still took care of you. This is somebody that still raised you. Half of the time you wouldn't have the stuff that you have if it wasn't because of your mother.
Right.
Bro, you want me to be on this platform if it wasn't because of your mother. So
Now,
you get the platform and you push her
right.
and she hits you. And I agree to it because
You're like, that's discipline.
mother, let me think about me walking up, brushing, sucking the teeth. Even sucking the teeth was a problem. You
Yeah.
get out. So you should like it's just the respect part for me. And I agree with Jackie. I don't see nothing wrong with what she did.
Mhm.
And and I think a lot of people in the world say that what Jackie did. Some people said they would have did more. They lucky she only
Yeah, the comments were definitely saying, I mean, I'm in my 30s and I still will not even test my mom like in any type of way. So you already know. So, so yes. Now let's change topics a little bit. I've been waiting to have this conversation with you because since the trials, we went a little back and forth about this. So, the Diddy trials, the verdict is in. He was not charged on a RICO charge. He did was found guilty of lesser charges. Like, what are your thoughts? Because I know we had talked about this before, and we had a little difference in opinion. Like,
my thoughts on this is it's at a point like it is what it is. Like, the world knew, let's just be real. The world knew, everybody knew he wasn't gonna get that much time. You know what I'm saying? And then on top of that, you gotta realize this is the justice system. So it's based off of what? Evidence. And I try to tell people a lot of times, like, yo, people can say this, people can say that, but it's what you can prove.
right.
And he have proved a lot of stuff. So that's why he didn't get what he's supposed to have got, you know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, did he just, he's a freak. And a lot of
That's
people,
fair.
it's not like they came out and say, oh, he, forced me. But here we go once again. You can say all that, but what do the proof shows?
Okay,
And
so like valid points. If you don't have the proof, it is harder to like convict someone, and I would want someone to get convicted on proof. It's
yeah,
unfortunate that sometimes they get away because they don't have the proof.
there
But
you go.
there has been a lot of stories about just, he is a rich business mogul. He has unlimited money
Yeah,
and he has the power to like control like people's narratives. So some people who did, unfortunately was a victim of his situations, I would say, I guess, alleged victims of his situation, they couldn't really speak out because they didn't feel like they would be, believed. Some of them did speak out and people mocked them until everything resurfaced. Like Orlando Brown was one of his, he talked about it for a while and for many years people was making fun of Orlando Brown saying, oh, like that never happened. And then when things came into light, they're all of a sudden like, oh, he was making sense. So do you feel like the justice for some of them who maybe they don't have the proof that Diddy, coerced them into doing all these things? Do you feel like there is justice? Will there be justice served for those victims who can't really get him caught on charges because there is not enough evidence?
yeah. Like I said, when it comes to the justice system, if there's no evidence, he's not gonna get charged. You know what I'm saying? It's like it is what it is. It's sad for some people because I know a lot of people really, you know, some of the victims that say they was involved and standing talking about what happened to them. But at the end of the day is what can be proved. And that it's hard to say because some people felt like they was forced to do something that they didn't want to do.
Mhm.
And but by them doing it, actions speak louder than words. And that's that.
See, that's where me and you have to
Like
that's where
Cassie.
me and you have to disagree on that one because
Cassie, Cassie, she tell everybody, oh, she was this, like that. She could have been scared for her life.
Mhm.
Could have been doing only this because she was scared.
Right.
But once again, what does the evidence shows? The evidence shows that she was texting him. She
Mhm.
wanted to do the freak off. She wanted to do this. Me, let's do it here. Let's do.
See,
So
okay.
when
So
even
I,
scared,
I,
it's
I,
what you. I'm telling you, is
I
what
hear
they
I
what
hear
they
what I hear what you say. So I get what you're saying. You're saying like whether or not she was accurate. Like you're not saying okay. That's where I feel like it was the difference of opinion. You weren't saying that what she's saying wasn't true. You're saying what does the evidence prove? Yeah, a lot of people like like you said, like some of them felt like they got forced, and I believe that they did get forced, and it's unfortunate. People when people have higher power and authority, they can't control someone. They'll even make people at some point if you brainwash them long enough, feel like they want to do it themselves.
Yeah.
You're saying like because he was very smart and being
Mm-hmm.
a predator,
Oh, man.
he's gonna get off with a lot of it because he was a clever predator. Now, do you feel like he will be canceled with cancel culture going on? Do you feel like Diddy is canceled? Or
No, it's like it's so many people that could have been canceled in this world for the things they have done. But let's just be real. When it comes to social media, when it comes to fan base, when it comes to all of that, there's never no canceling nobody. That's just my opinion.
so you don't think R. Kelly or Bill Cosby they're not canceled?
Bill Cosby, people still watching Bill Cosby right now.
Jeez.
People still are feeling on the booty right now.
Oh gosh. Okay, so that was perfect because I feel like my last question wanted to be, do you feel like someone's legacy shouldn't be tarnished based on we were talking about a Hulk, but we said something about him having a one comment. If you're a repeated offender, you like, there's a lot of people saying that you've harmed them, you actually been convicted of these crimes. Do you feel like that tarnishes someone's legacy or it doesn't have to do with their talent at all?
They don't have nothing to do with their talent at all. That's what the world have shown. No matter what anybody have done, even
I mean,
to
Chris Brown is an example.
look,
What?
I'm going
It's an example. Yeah.
to
Yeah.
concert. Like it really don't matter. And I'm like, it's hard to say that, but it's true. It really don't matter when it comes to the fan base, when it comes to the music, when it comes to an artist and their personal life. A lot of people do see their personal life like that. That's really messed up.
Right.
But I guarantee you, they're gonna hit that button. They're gonna listen to that music. They're gonna be jamming. I'm just, you know, it's just real. We gonna be jamming. We're gonna
Right.
have a good time. We're gonna be lit. And even with the Diddy thing right now, a lot of people, oh, this and that. But I guarantee you, let a bitty deep thing drop right now. Everybody's dancing. Everybody's on the dance floor.
I'm not
They
gonna lie, I was in the car
it's
and
not, not gonna just be
I was
standing there.
I was in the car and the Diddy song came on and I turned that thing so quick, turned it down. I was like, I don't know where people's temperature is at.
See, my whole thing is like, I, like we were talking about the R. Kelly thing, and I had to ask the question. So I'm personally gonna ask you this question because I did ask a couple of people myself, and R. Kelly, come out of jail right now, and and he decides to do a tour. You know what I'm saying? Would you go to the concert?
Nah, I wouldn't go to like a concert. Am I gonna lie and say like some of his songs? I don't have any of his songs personally on my playlist, but he had music with Aaliyah and other artists. I don't erase their music because of like his crimes. It's still like, like the back and forth song, I still bumps it. Like, I turn
So
it down when I turn it down when I'm in the car driving. But
So this is what I'm saying to a lot of people too, because you have to really think about this too, and a lot of people don't understand. These are some of the top people that even produce music, wrote music.
right, a lot of our
So
favorite
you got to
songs
see
they
yourself like,
created.
also because you're gonna start listening to music, that means you're gonna start listening to Aaliyah, you're gonna start listening to Versa. Because let's be real, he wrote a lot of their stuff.
Right,
So
right.
it's still coming from that same person.
When you say it like that,
You got to,
I feel
and
like that's a little bit more manageable if you produced it versus you actually like. If I hear you straight through the speakers, I gotta go turn it
I,
down.
because you're not hearing a voice, but when you're singing another song, when you like back, forth, there's something that you wrote. You know what I'm saying? This still coming from the same man. You got to think about stuff like
It
that.
is
Just
true.
like Diddy, all the stuff that he have produced and he have wrote or whatever, we're still listening to these people,
All right.
regardless.
Well, thank you, Tay Honeybee, for stopping by. It's always a pleasure talking to you.
Yes.
For more content, please follow her on TikTok.
Yes.
Thank you for tuning in to Word on the Street Is. A special thanks to Nisha M. Tyler, Eddie Dowd, and Tay Honeybee for joining us on this episode. Until next time, I'm your host, Aaliyah Huntley.